Welcome back to the Park Winners Flower Farm. Today I'm going to show you around our flower farm and give you a taste of all the flowers that are blooming today, and also give you some tips on how to cut flowers in your vase and ideas and tips that I've learned from other florists. But I want to give you a little bit of a background story on how Pick Your Own Bouquet came to be. So many years ago, when I started planting flowers in the flower farm, I had the idea of grow your own wedding. And the concept of grow your own wedding is that a couple was getting married in 6 or 9 months. I would help them plant the seeds and plants in their rows. And then the idea was to harvest the flowers at their wedding date and fold them into their event. But then I started thinking that grow your own wedding could become a catastrophe because of the timing of things. And I thought it would be safer to grow flowers that everyone can pick. And then I came up with a concept of pick your own bouquet. And I thought that pick your own bouquet was something that people were doing all over the world. I just assumed this. And I've met quite a few people that have told me, I'm a flower person, I've traveled all over the world, and I've never experienced picking my own bouquet. So it was so cool that we came up with this idea. I'm sure there's other people doing pick your own bouquet experiences around the world, but I thought it was a thing, and it's actually pretty novel. So it's been 9 years now since I've been growing flowers, and it's been an amazing journey. So what you can expect when you come to the Park Winners Flower Farm is that you come here, we're serving water and hot tea, and we're playing some nice classical music. You get to tour all 10 acres of our farm, and then when you're ready, you land here in our flower barn. We hand you a bucket and clippers, and you get to pick your own bouquet. So I'm going to give you some tips along the way that I've learned from other florists so that you can have the best experience possible. And everything that I've learned and that I'm sharing with you is stuff that I've learned from other florists and gardeners. So come with me. I'm going to show you what it's like to pick a bouquet here, and how you can take the different seasons home with you, and that feeling of being in the country. And our bouquets would typically last you 2 to 3 weeks because you're picking them very fresh and you get to take them home. And every time you look at our bouquets, it just brings you back to this moment of splendor, of bliss, of enjoyment, smelling the country air, just all the beautiful things that come along with picking flowers. And then after you pick flowers, you can also land in our pavilion and you can have a elevated casual brunch. We serve wonderful dishes, and some of my favorites are the Cuban sandwich with the French fries. We have an incredible Bloody Mary. We cook the mix in-house and we char the onions. People have told me that the huevos rancheros is their favorite huevos rancheros they've ever had. We have a great wedge salad, and we also have 3 or 4 pizzas. And it's all seasonal, and we fold the seasonal food that's growing here in the valley, and also everyone here cooks with lots of love. I literally love 100% of the people who work here because we're so into it. I'm into giving you the experience of picking your own flowers. Our chefs are into giving you the best experience with food, and the rest of our team is really dedicated to making people's special occasions special. So it's a happy life here, and we always say that we are in the happiness business. So how lucky that we get to do this, to bring people joy, and that people can come here and enjoy a breath of fresh air, take it down a notch, and bring their family and friends to enjoy this experience. So come with me. I want to show you some of the things I've learned, and I'm going to make a fresh flower bouquet today. So let's fill up our buckets for starters so that we have fresh flowers and they stay perky. So tip number 1, when you come to the flower farm, the first thing we encourage you to do is to fill your buckets with water. The reason you want to keep them full of water is so that as you pick your flowers, they stay perky. And if you spill your water, you have to remember to immediately refill it because you don't want your flowers to get wilted. So let's get started. I'm gonna pick a bouquet of what we have growing today. And just remember that these are seasonal flowers. So we have lots of flowers that are coming, and they haven't even started to bloom yet. So, but we're going to make a bouquet with what's happening today, and I'm going to form a base of the filler, and then I'm going to put in some thrillers, and I'm going to put in a few spillers. And I'm going to attempt to make my bouquet in my bucket as we go. Some people like to enjoy bringing them inside of our flower barn and arranging them afterwards. So you can also make this almost like a gathering expedition, where you come here and you pick the longest pieces possible, and then when you go home you can zen out and cut them small, medium, and large. But we also allow you and encourage people to do them here. Today I'm going to make one right in the field, and hopefully you're going to enjoy what we're going to do. So the birds are chirping, the weather feels amazing, the smells of the countryside are wonderful, and one of my favorite things to do is to pick flowers. If you wonder how I got so much into picking flowers, it all started in the hills of North Carolina when I used to visit my good friend Mary. And when I would go visit her on the way there, I would start picking wildflowers along the road, because I had never seen flowers like this. Having grown up in Florida, we have a different type of vegetation. So I would start picking these flowers on the way to her house, and about 1 hour out, I would start picking them. And by the time I arrived at her house with all these beautiful wildflowers that I was picking up along the road, they would arrive wilted. So what I would do is I would just stick them all in a bucket and let them come back to life, perk up, and then just before dinner, I would make these beautiful flower arrangements for her and put them around her house. And that is literally how I got into picking my own flowers, and how I've enjoyed it my whole life. And so because this is what I know to do to bring joy to people, this is what I'm sharing with you. So as a filler, I'm going to start off with this little sweet flower. I actually don't even know what it's called. I suspect that it is in the carrot family. The reason I'm using it today is because it's only here for a short amount of time, and it's a really sweet thing. And so I'm going to treat it as a filler. I'm going to cut some pieces here. You see that? I suspect that this is in the carrot family because it grows like a carrot. It feels like a carrot, so it must be some sort of carrot. So what I do is I'm going to use this as the filler because it's got a bit of an enchanting vibe about it. And I'm going to start it off in the bucket like this. And then I'm going to put some more pieces of it in the bucket, because if you try to put this thing in after you've arranged your flowers, you're going to thrash them. So you want to start with the things that are most delicate. So this is a nice way to start the base, and also it makes them sort of ethereal, you know. It's got a really nice little vibe about it. And I'm going to put a few more in here. Here at the farm, we pretty much let anything that's growing grow. This is more the rainbow, all the colors. On the Park Winter side, we're much more modest in what we're planting because we don't want to compete with people's wedding colors. But on this side, we have every color imaginable. It seems like these flowers find their nooks and crannies, and they put out the beautiful blooms in different spots of the garden that I think that they look natural. So the tips that I'm going to be giving you are tips that I've learned from professional florists. And so one of the things that I learned is that you cut your flowers at a 45-degree angle. And the reason why you want to cut them at a 45-degree angle is for two reasons. One is that it gives your stalks and your flowers more surface water absorption, but also they become little spears. So if you were to just do blunt cuts and put them into your vase, when they hit the other stems, it would just create a bottleneck. When you have a spear like this, you can bring it into your vase and you can bring them in at the different angles. And then this way they can surpass the other stems and keep going, and it gives you more control. So next up we have Queen Anne's lace, also known as Dara, D-A-R-A. And look at this. This is like a kaleidoscope, almost like a snowflake. And they have a beautiful look to them. they're hovering like this, and this is one that's emerging and opening, and it has such a poetic feeling about them. They're very botanical feeling, and they have a lot of interest. So the interesting thing about this is that these plants, Dara, they're actually carrots. So they're in the carrot family, and they're just so awesome this time of year. Those of you that know this plant, it's bringing you back to this time of season and the beauty that comes with the unfolding of spring. So I'm going to put these in the arrangement, and then we're just going to start floating other jewels within it. You can use the side of your bucket to be your measuring stick. So you see like this, and before you stick it into the arrangement, you can see the height that you want, and you want these floating at a certain height. I also recommend that when you're doing a flower arrangement, to make it more interesting, that you do small, medium, large, and tall. That way you have your filler, thriller, and spillers. If you were to put them all on the same level, then it would just become like mud, and you wouldn't be able to see them. So these flower arrangements, they will take over, and you connect with your inner flower, your inner florist, and then you start weaving them in. So you might want to do it in the field. It's such a beautiful day that I'm just going to do my arrangement out here. Or you might want to bring it inside our flower barn and arrange it on our tables, or bring them home and work on your flower arrangements after dinner. Some families are really cute, and they bring their children to collect flowers during the day, and then after dinner they pull out a bunch of old bottles and vases, and they make arrangements after dinner. So it's a really nice family activity. So you see, this is telling me to put this here, but because I don't want to compete with these guys, it's saying cut me back about an inch. So I'm going to do that. And the great thing is that there's no mistakes. There's no right or wrong. The arrangement will start speaking to you, and it'll say, cut me higher, lower, let me float a little bigger, but you wouldn't want to put both these flowers on the same plane. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to place this one here. Right here we've got these beautiful little white flowers that are creating like the filler. So let's move along. Let me show you a few more things. Isn't this just giving you the beautiful spring vibes? So what we're going to do here is we're going to add a bit of whimsy. This is beautiful smoky fennel, and this fennel has just a really nice texture to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat the fennel a little bit of a filler, but it's got this overflowing feel that it could also be a spiller. Look at how fluffy these are. Aren't those beautiful? They have just a great tonality about them. I wish you could smell these fennel bushes. They are awesome. I'm going to cut some side pieces and make it a spiller and use some of this fluffy stuff to work with. Isn't that gorgeous? Like, look at this texture. That is just amazing. And the smells that these put out are so cool. Look at this. I'm gonna put some of these as spillers along the sides. When I'm saying spillers, I mean like things that go out, because if you had all your flowers just pointing up, then it's just gonna be a very vertical rocket shape feeling of a arrangement. But if you start putting in some of these spillers to the side, it just sort of like makes your arrangement grow. And again, be patient, because there's a part of me that, you know, that chatter that you have in your head where I'm thinking, do I hate this? Is this tragic? What is it missing? And what it's missing is more flowers. So let's go put more flowers in it. And you're gonna see that with a little patience, you can pull this whole thing together. When I talk about jewels, this is what I'm thinking about. These are nigella pods, and the nigella blossom is so beautiful, and I'm not sure if I like the flower more than the pod. These pods last for years and they have such an interesting look. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these into sticks, and my next tip is that when you put the flowers into your arrangements, you have to remove all the greenery from the bottom so that you're not filling your bucket with greenery, and also you're not eating the real estate of the size of the bucket, and then you'll have more volume on top. And then in here, you can start taking your jewels and popping them in. I'm gonna take and cut all of these at a 45-degree angle so that when they come in to the arrangement, they are much more easy to work with. They're gonna absorb much more water, and I'm gonna put these beautiful jewels in here. Because it gets breezy and people are out here picking flowers, and sometimes these buckets get top heavy, what I've done is I've gotten these old milk crates. They have dividers in them, and we've placed them along the end of the rows so that people can use them as holders. And then you can come out here into the flower rows. You can gather your flowers and then bring them back here, because when it's breezy and this thing is top heavy, it all becomes uncontrollable. And then what happens when it's breezy and top heavy, they tip over, they lose their water, and then it's all downhill from there because the flowers lose their perkiness. So I'm gonna leave this in our milk crate holders, and I'm gonna get a few more flowers, and I'm gonna call it a day, because you can't put every flower in the field in your bucket. And so one of the things that I encourage people to do is, before you start gathering the flowers, is take a little walk around the farm, get an idea of what colors are available, and then pick them, and you'll have more of an idea then of what colors you want to work with. Because if you just start picking as you go and then you decide, oh geez, I don't want purple, I really want yellow and orange, you might have missed that opportunity, or it might be more of a rainbow than you want. So if you really want a look and a color, take your time, look at all the things we have, because we have so much growing, and then start picking. Part of the joy of picking flowers from their host plants is also that you get to see some of the little critters that live amongst them. And I don't know about you guys, but do ladybugs make you happy? Because they are like this universal joy bug where they make you happy, they're cute, but also ladybugs are eating the aphids. And so part of the smile that I get on my face when I see all these ladybugs all over our plants is that I know that they're eating the aphids, but also they bring me a lot of joy. In fact, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but when you have a ladybug land on you, it's supposed to be good luck. And here's a really sweet guy, so I'll take that. And I love all these little old wives' tales, but I just love the ladybugs crawling around. I was picking flowers, and all of a sudden now I'm taken by these ladybugs. And so I'm gonna put these guys here. I'm gonna actually let them come in with our arrangement. I'm gonna get a couple more flowers, and I think I'll be done. Here I have some status, and I'm going to clip some of these, and I'm gonna put them in with the nigella as a jewel. So as you can see, the base of my arrangement is pretty much monochromatic. You have all these colors. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some pops of purple, because they're blooming, and also it's just gonna give a lot of life to this. So you're gonna see the difference when we take this and then we weave some of this color into it, and then you're gonna have a nice contrast and dance of color and flowers. One of the coolest things about this row of larkspur is that this self-seeded. And so just like our sweet peas on the hog wire self-seeded, all this larkspur self-seeded. And look at how prolific it is. It's so beautiful. And so we have two colors of it here. One is this deep purple. The other one is this sort of like mauve-y purple. And I'm gonna grab a few of those for this arrangement and bring it in. This is one of the tips that I'm talking about. As you pick the flowers, instead of putting in all this greenery into the bucket and creating a mush, plus also all this greenery takes up real estate in the bottom of your bucket, what you do is as you pick them, you strip them, you throw the greenery back into our rows. You're helping us compost and mulch it, but then you have these really nice clean sticks. So if you just have sticks inside your bucket, then you have a lot more volume on top. And then don't forget that you have to cut them all at a 45 so that you have more surface water absorption, and also that you're turning them into little spears that you can control and bring your flowers in at the different angles, and everyone will be happy. So I'm just gonna get a few of these, probably like maybe, so that I don't overpower this arrangement, I'm just gonna get three of each. So I've got 3 of these deep purple ones. Just 3 of these. And then I'm gonna take 3 of these mauve purple. Is that a color? I know mauve is a color, but mauve purple or like lavender purple. So I've got 3 of the deep purples, 2 of the mauve purple. So that means I need 1 more because I never do things in 2s. I do them in 3s or 5s. We have this beautiful nigella that volunteered itself here because most of our nigella or Lebanon mist flowers, they're like this deep blue color. So this is what your typical nigella looks like in blue. But right next to it, these beautiful pinkish mauve ones bloomed. And what I did is, I didn't know where they had come from. And what I did is that after they turn from flowers, they go into these beautiful crowns like this. And then when they dry, because I want more of this around the farm, is I pop them, I release all the seeds, and I've spread them out so I have a really nice patch of them. A nice way to get them, if you don't want to just do individual ones, is I just grab them, like a fistful of them at the bottom, and then I just cut them from the bottom like this. See, now I have a whole little bunch of them. And then, like I've mentioned, you just strip them along the way. You get rid of all that greenery below, and they're ready to go in your vase. Isn't that a sweet color? So we're in the flower barn, and after people pick their flowers, we encourage them to come in here and arrange the flowers. And so you can gather all your flowers out in our field, bring them in here and arrange them. You can take them home and do it on your own, or you can arrange them when you're in the field as you pick them. Everyone's got their own taste and style, and so we give people the flexibility to do and enjoy our farm how they want to. So I just picked a few jewels that I'm gonna insert into this arrangement, and I'm gonna call it a day. The last tip that I'm gonna share with you that I've learned from florists is that what they do is they process their flowers. So they strip them of all the greenery so that when they go into the arrangement, they go in nice and clean. And then also I'm going to cut them at a 45 and put them in. So you essentially put all your flowers next to you as if you have your paintbrushes and your colors that you would have in a painting. When you lock in and connect with your inner flower, it moves fast. So it makes it easier, and it gives you more of that ability to stay connected. If you do a little bit of cleanup before, and then when you put them in here, then the arrangement is going to speak to you, and it's going to say, put me here, put me there, and then it's all going to come together. Another thing you want to think about when you're arranging flowers is, are you doing an arrangement that's 365 degrees, or is it going to sit along your wall? It's going to sit on top of your piano, and it's going to be more of a peacock. So when you're making your arrangement, decide, are you just going to see it from one side? But if you're going to see it from a 360 degree angle, you want to move your arrangement as you insert the flowers so that you don't end up with some like weird bald spot. And look how nice. It just, like, it literally just, they don't have a mouth or a voice, but they guide us and they tell us where to put these flowers. And just look at these just few little pieces that I've already added and how it's already making this a happier arrangement. And happiness is what we seek, isn't it? So I derive a lot of happiness from flowers. I've been growing flowers since I was a kid, and this is what I know to do, which is why I'm sharing it with you. And so it just brings me a lot of joy, bringing joy and happiness to people through flower arranging. So here it is. This is the final product. And also, you know, I did pick some other flowers, this winged everlasting, that after I brought it in here, I just realized that I don't need it. And so don't fight your thoughts. Trust your gut feeling and knowing that when you get a feeling about something with flower arranging or anything in particular, that it's okay to just stop. So I'm not going to use this plant material because I think it would just be too much of a contrast. I want to thank everyone for allowing me to show you this flower arranging episode. And I want to invite you to come to the farm, get lost in our flowers, stop in our cottage store, and also partake in our beautiful brunch. So we're here every Saturday and Sunday from 8:30 till 3 p.m. doing the flower picking experience. And you can also come for brunch between the hours of 10 to 3. You can also come on one of my garden tours. I love meeting all of you. I want to wish everyone a beautiful day. I hope you're doing something creative or playing in your garden.